It made me cry.
This One's Wife. Dumping on Queen Elizabeth II's memory. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As many of you are aware, yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the death of the sterling, the great Queen Elizabeth II, who exemplified service to her nation. Many of you may have silently reflected upon her loss and her life, whereas we know that this one's wife could not help herself but once again seek to upstage the anniversary. Whilst members of the Queen's family will no doubt have been remembering her, this one's wife, showing her irreverent self-absorption to the hilt, engaged in another display of one-upmanship, of trying to steal thunder by ensuring that a recent appearance was released and provided to the media. Naturally, the media lapped it up in varying degrees of coverage and with their usual differing angles. As Natasha Anderson and Alex Mason wrote for the Mail, this one's wife spoke at her close friend Oprah Winfrey's book club session last night, which was Saturday the 7th, in California, where her husband's controversial memoir, Spare, was proudly on display. Well, it was on display off to the side. It wasn't exactly hugely prominent, and there only appeared to be one copy that could be seen. Nevertheless, you'll have probably seen the picture, which I've encapsulated in the thumbnail, of this one's wife with her smug, shit-eating grin as she grasps the microphone like a dick, and we all know that she loves both, and therefore is in her element. Appearing at this event, this well-known literary titan, this one's wife, who has written such blockbusters as Finding Freedom and Spare and The Bench, furnished the world with no doubt her brilliant literary mind. William Shakespeare doesn't come close to the output of this literary goddess. The fact is, this one's wife wrote a book, and because of the fact that she has no emotional empathy, she wrote a book that was supposedly for children, which wasn't really for children, which demonstrates once again the disconnect between what she thinks people want and what they actually do. The disconnect caused by the fact that she has no actual connection to people and she has no emotional empathy. The book was roundly ridiculed, particularly when she appeared on YouTube. You remember that. And she read In the Garden, which resulted in a massive number of downvotes, which somehow then led to downvotes no longer being shown on the channel. This one's wife, naturally, jumps at the opportunity to be seen and to manage that facade, and also to be seen with Oprah Winfrey. Be under no illusion, Oprah Winfrey doesn't give two shits about this one's wife. A savvy media operator who only utilised this one's wife for what she could provide to her by virtue of that interview back in 2021, and who has since kept her distance. It strikes me that Oprah has allowed a connection to appear on this occasion quite simply because she sniffs opportunity. She sniffs the fact that there is the potential for divorce and that she wants to be able to cover that world-exclusive interview that no doubt a coal-eyed, sobbing this one's wife will provide for the purposes of describing my hell with Harry. Oprah, ever the opportunist, is circling like a shark in blood-infested waters for the purposes of ensuring that she has first dibs when the divorce tale comes out. She doesn't give a rat's ass about any observations that this one's wife has in relation to books. What does she know about books? Yeah, she's read some, so have billions of people. She's not going to provide any meaningful insight. Unfortunately, it hasn't been reported on what she actually had to state, although we can probably guess, can't we? It'll have gone something like this. Blah, blah, me. When I was 11 years old, I wrote to Procter & Gamble. Blah, 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 me. Rhubarb, blah, blah, blah. Harry, blah, blah, blah. This one, blah, me, rhubarb. Glass eyes went to sleep. People were put into comas. And as a consequence, she once again unleashed a word salad-based tsunami over the audience. Naturally, she was delighted, with her fingers grabbing that mic like she grips the shaft of a dick. She would have blethered on. This will enable her, of course, from the polite audience to receive fuel, mainly from tertiary sources and a few secondary sources, manage her facade, and it was easy enough for her to assert control over those individuals as they sat listening. According to the report, the Duchess 43 was one of several light-filled, whatever the fuck that is, speakers. Had they got dragon lamps shoved up their yitters so that light was pouring out of every orifice? How delightful. She addressed the crowd at Good Mother's, oh, the irony, bookstore, and gathering space. What? Bookstore and gathering space? What the fuck's one of those? Is that a euphemism for shoplifting? In Summerland, located just miles from where she lives in Monte Shitshow. The star-studded event was attended by actor Marco Leone. No idea who that is. Astrology and psychology expert Dr. Jennifer Freed. No idea who that is. And author, teacher and psychic medium Laura Lynn Jackson. Okay. No idea who that is either. All of whom highlighted this one's wife on their Instagram stories. No doubt, of course, looking to piggyback her because she's more well-known than they all are. Godmothers. Is it Goodmothers or Godmothers Daily Mail? They write Goodmothers at one point, then Godmothers later. Well, anyway, who gives a shit? It's co-owned by literary agent Jennifer Rudolph Walsh, in case you're interested, and they just celebrated its grand opening weekend by hosting a slew of events and conversations with celebrities and authors. The bookstore appears to be promoting several popular celebrity books, including this one's wife's children's book, The Bench, and Prince Harry's memoir, co-written by this one's wife, which could be found front and centre in the shop on its Hometown Heroes shelf. What a load of doss. The Mail then bangs on about things that we already know. This one's wife appeared at the event last night on the eve of the second anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's death. She appeared on Saturday the 7th. She can't let the anniversary pass silently. She can't let the anniversary pass without her making mention of it, because her narcissism won't let her. Her narcissism has to jump up and down and say, dump all over the memory of QE2. After all, of course, this one's wife had no respect for her. This one's wife had no tolerance for the Queen, save to the extent that it enabled her to achieve her prime aims. Thus, she's dead, she doesn't matter. But what does matter is the potential for a threat to control to arise in relation to the fact that people might be talking about QE2 and the 2-year anniversary of her death. Therefore, this one's wife, narcissism, compels her to try and upstage it, and she does by having publicity about attending Goodmothers or Godmothers or whatever the fuck it's called. Apparently, it was unclear what the Duchess said, but the crowd appeared to be eating it up, with Jackson branding this one's wife of one of the evening's light-filled speakers. Well, I wouldn't read too much into that. Being described as a light-filled speaker doesn't strike me as the highest praise indeed. Her book, The Bench, was on the shelf where it ought to belong, not picked up by anybody or read because it's a load of crap. Apparently, this was described as the local author's shelf where you first walk in. Well, there you are. And it was described as a celebration of hometown heroes, if you say so. Thus, this one's wife was there, Oprah was there, character trait acquisition in full flow, triangulation with other people, and of course ensuring that publicity is provided. But once again, the grasping grifter needs to ensure it's all about her for the purposes of upstaging the memory of Queen Elizabeth II. Two women who couldn't be any more different. One who understood the meaning of service and gave in excess of 70 years of it. Another who is a simply Janey come lately who's completely in it for herself, driven by her narcissism. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.